Um, a couple more stocks. These things are set to lighten. I had shrunk these down a lot because these stocks are huge. You see these things kicking around everywhere. These things are getting a little overused, but they get the job done here. Adds a little bit of depth to it. This is just, again, a little bit of grunge set to lighten. I erased most of this, as you can see, because the rest of it, there was a bunch of white going on in there, and I only really wanted it in that top corner. Yeah, there's the rest of it. I don't remember exactly what the stock is, but yeah. So I just wanted that little bit of white in the top corner, so I just left that there and erased everything else. All you got to do is just soft eraser, erase what you don't want. This is my border. It's set to darken. It was originally, these things weren't originally that large. The whole thing is probably, I don't know, about that big or so. I just took it, duplicated it, put it there, and then did it, and then merged that and flipped it, rotated it 90 degrees clockwise. That puts it up on there. Merge those again, copy it, flip it, and there you go. You got yourself a border. Stock for some lighting. This is just, it's a paper stock, I think. Yeah, it's some old paper. Set it to darken. That'll basically all or set it to multiply. Sorry. It'll get some of the color, and I dropped the opacity here down to 50% because otherwise it's too yellow, and we don't want that. Otherwise, the brick wall doesn't look realistic, and that's no good. Some more grunge again. This is not set to lighten, it's set to screen just because it shows up a little better there. Again, you just erase whatever you don't want. Like you can see, there was stuff there I didn't want. And what you want to do is, yeah, you want some grunge over top of the render layer. Like I have some over there, and some there, and some there. But say you have smaller frames and only 3 pictures or something, you'll probably want to erase over their faces so that they don't get hidden behind it. Like this stock's not too bad for it because you can still see everything. It just adds a little bit of depth, but you don't want to hide your renders. That's not a good thing to do. Add an exposure layer here. It brightens it up a little. That's the settings if you want to pause and fiddle with them. Basically, that washes it out. That'll add brightness or drop it. I don't remember exactly what gamma does. I think it's, yeah, gamma adds contrast. Anyway, I don't want to add those effects. They look stupid. So yeah, that's what I wound up doing with that. That's just set to normal. There's nothing special about it. Brightness / contrast layer. Again, there's the settings. I think it's pretty obvious what those are going to do. One's going to adjust the brightness. One's going to adjust the contrast. I don't know what this use legacy thing is. I never use it. Whatever legacy is, I don't like them. Gradient map. This is just a simple black to white gradient map. It's just a stock one. And just set it to normal, 45%. That dulls down the color a little, because if I keep it at 100, it's full black and white. I don't want that. I just dulled down the color on it a little bit. This one is, I made this one myself. It's just some like cream color here. Again, if you want to pause, there's the numbers. And then just kind of a darker, almost brown, just to give it a little bit of, yeah, I set that to reverse. That's why if you look at yours and the color's all backwards, it really doesn't do a big difference though. I think it was just on. Set that to multiply. I put the opacity only at 20% because, again, it has too much color otherwise. I already explained what multiply is going to do. No use backtracking. Another gradient map. Didn't think I had this many in there. Oh yeah, this is one I use often actually. It's a stock gradient. It's right there. Just a purple to orange. Don't reverse it, otherwise it gets all iffy. And you set it to pin light, and what pin light does, I put this at 100 to be able to see it better, everything that's white will turn yellow, so it adds a nice bit of color to it when you lower the opacity on it without making it too overpowering. This is, again, I'm going to show you how to do this one just because it basically, it adds a little more definition to stuff without purely sharpening it. What I did to make this, you go and you create an applied image. I'm just going to use my hotkey this time. And then you go to filter and other, and then high pass. And I don't remember exactly what I had it set to for this one. I think this is the last time I used it, so it was probably this. But usually I set it to somewhere around 1. And then you just set it to overlay, and that'll give it a little bit of definition. Yeah, I don't remember exactly what it's set to. The settings were either at 1 to 1.5 is usually a good range, sometimes lower. It depends how much definition is in the picture and how much you want. So yeah, it just sharpens it up a little bit. We're almost done here, actually. This isn't a very large signature. Well, size-wise, it's huge. But anyway, another gradient map. This one is one I often use as well. It's not a stock one. You have to make this one yourself. I like it for a little bit of color. The colors don't exactly have to matter. As long as it's somewhere in this spectrum, it'll work. I use a different one every single time because I never save it. I don't know why I don't. But so it's basically a blue and then a yellow that's close to the green side. And you don't even have to change the blending mode on. You keep it at normal, but put it 10%. If you put it at high, it's gonna be too much blue, which doesn't look good. This gives it a nice little bit of color without being too overpowering. A level's another just a random adjustment. I don't remember exactly what I did with this. I never really liked looking at the levels window. It always looks weird, but you can play around with it, see what happens. And then just create another applied image and go to filter, sharpen, which is right there. I have another hotkey set for it. That's just a custom one. And then change the opacity to somewhere around 45%. You put it up this high, that's a common mistake, is to leave a sharpen layer on the top but have it full sharpen, and you can tell that it's over sharpened. There's too much jagged edges and stuff on it. Put it around 45%. It sharpens it up without making it too overpowering. So there you go. I mean, you have the PSD for this one. If you want to experiment with some, then be my guest. But that's the Chris Jericho signature by Aces High. I don't know what to tell you more about it. I kind of wish I had seen an actual battle with it, and Metallic had to no-showed, but that's life. What can you do? I'm going to close this, and yeah. Until next time, keep your suggestions coming. I enjoy doing these, so Aces High out.